yesterday on the news as part of the Occupy Dayton folks. You guys have left Dayton. I said they were packing up and leaving Dave Hall Plaza last night.
Right.
And you're telling me this is basically a whole new phase. So tell me what's going on.
Yeah, basically, this doesn't really affect what we're doing. It actually kind of spreads us out through the valley and is actually a good thing. It's kind of something I've been waiting for a long time. We've done this of our own volition and we weren't forced to do anything, although we'll have symbolic protests and people will be arrested. Hopefully that'll instigate a civil suit, which we can run up the flagpole. Maybe we can get to the Supreme Court. The city, the county has operated in bad faith, and they've left a lot of paper trails, and I think it's going to make it pretty easy for us to win the civil suit.
Is this what you're hearing from your guys' lawyers right now, or what are they advising you? Let's take this and stand our free speech ground, and if they want to break it, then we're going to take it to see which has precedence, the First Amendment or local ordinances?
Yeah, I would think the only thing that I would say is that a lot of this is what we're doing as individuals. We can act collectively, and we can act in small groups, and we can act as individuals. And some of us that are interested in pressing the issue in court, that'll be basically up to us, and we'll take on that personally. And of course, we'll get support from the ACLU, Lawyers Guild, the public, Occupy, that sort of thing. So,
having gone through this, being a veteran, you look back now and think, wow, did I spend that time in the military? Was it wasted? Because some of my leaders don't seem to value a lot of the things we fought for, such as the basic things, the First Amendment.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I enlisted on the day that Iraq invaded Kuwait the first time in 1990. Served my country, got a pretty good look at what was going on, and it was obvious to me, being a casual observer, that we were there to make money for corporations, Halliburton, that were oppressing peoples in different countries, and it wasn't an honorable war necessarily like a World War II or something like that. Interestingly, I'm looking at now going to jail, and having been a former law enforcement professional, no record, no tickets, good military record, the whole 9 yards. I think it's going to be an interesting twist on putting me in jail. I kind of take pride in that being my first charge, I guess.
So, the Occupy movement now is going into a new phase. This is something I've kind of seen online. Tell me about that, what you guys were involved in as far as where you want to go right now.
Yeah, again, it's kind of a decentralized movement, a leaderless movement. So what you're going to see is some things that are maybe Occupy-wide, maybe through the country, through the globe that we'll be involved in. There'll be things locally here in Dayton that all the Occupy groups get together and participate in. There'll be things that people do personally, small groups will do. But, our presence on the square was one thing. What we're about to do right now is going to totally change the game. I mean, we're going to be everywhere now, and we're going to be in their faces. These banks who we've been over to the side, now we're going to be in front of them. The city council members, the county officials who are voting the wrong way and against the people, we're going to be on their sidewalks in front of their homes. And we'll have a new message for them every day on our signs, and then maybe over time they will think about what they swore their oaths to protect, as I did.
You're thinking about, or have you decided whether you're going to run for Clayton Lucky's seat right now?
My understanding is he's term limited. He's in the 39th district. I'm right there. As a matter of fact, we're neighbors. And being that he's term limited, and it presents a pretty good time for me to run for that seat. I certainly wouldn't want to run against him as a neighbor, just on general principle. But I think we need a voice over there in West Dayton. And so, I plan on being that voice and helping my neighborhood.
Okay. The subject of the Gem City ice cream, you told me you talked to Amanda Wright.
Yeah,
She's
I
on
had
the board of Wright Dunbar, correct?
correct. Yeah, I had a.
What was that how'd that conversation go?
Yeah, I had occasion to speak to Amanda Wright Lane, and just a sweeter person you could never meet. It was great for me. I'm a huge aviation fan, so to me it was kind of epic. But make a long story short, she's basically setting out to preserve the Wright brothers' legacy, and is supportive of the projects that are aligned with her way of thinking. We've got the opportunity here to save 2 locations that were former bicycle shops. One is intact, one is a lot, and that's exciting to her. That's exciting to a lot of people. We've all of a sudden brought a lot of people into the fold. All of a sudden, some of the people that were trying to save the building before have come into the fold. The only person that is not coming into the fold is the city, and it's really been a horrible experience dealing with them.
You told me we've had, just to be clear, we have contacted Idofa Bootsy Neal regarding video that from a couple of weeks ago, I believe, at the commission meeting when you were there, and asked her a list of questions. There was no response. We're going to try to get a hold of some of their board members. Now, you were telling me that during a conversation at Boston Stoker that we're still trying to figure out exactly what the relationship is between the city of Dayton and Wright Dunbar Inc.
I can help you with that.
Okay, tell me, because what I'm being told is that they approve of what the mayor told me he approves of what Wright Dunbar Inc. is doing. I'm certainly not casting aspersions, that have done some improvement work over there. But there are still questions exactly who you've had problems with this. You said at another project. I know before I got into doing the Dayton Informer, I had inquired about opening an outsider art gallery, kind of like if anyone's art grouped, people in the art world know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Got no response from Wright Dunbar Inc. And it was just like, went on my way. That project idea pretty much got squashed.
Sure.
And maybe someday I'll revisit it, but in the meantime, I'm doing other things. But tell me exactly what you found out and what what city officials have told you.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. This goes back 12, 14 months. I was actually looking at another building on that same in that same area, kind of across the street, kind of a smaller building that we were going to start this project on, and it had come out of under contract with the city. Wright Dunbar Inc. had expressed an interest in it, and it was free. So basically, I was negotiating with the city to acquire this building. Everything was looking good. We were going along, and then I received a call that says Bootsy Neal came in and said, hey, we want to redo the contract, and so they signed another contract with her and just instantly stopped talking to me. I thought it was fair game, but apparently it wasn't. So my next experience had to do with actually meeting Bootsy Neal in person. I went to the office to see how I could help that organization, what we could partner with in the neighborhood, and I sat down and talked to her, and the interesting thing that was said, and this is the God's honest truth, I would swear on a stack of Bibles, she made it very clear that she was in control of Wright Dunbar, the business district, and that was her sandbox, and nobody plays in her sandbox without her permission, and that she was a city commissioner at one time. She still has a lot of contacts, and she would make sure. Since then, I've had another Wright Dunbar board member come forward, Jeff Jackson, and there's a copy on the Sustainable Community Projects page of a conversation where he talks about using a city council member to destroy the project. That's a personal friend. So I'm running into a lot of stuff like that. But the moral of the story is Who is
this commissioner?
I'm trying to remember his name at this point. The conversation is recorded on the Facebook page for everybody to see. Lost my train of thought here. Oh, I was going to say the moral.
Commissioner Joseph
could be. That sounds right. Like I said, I have to reload. The moral of the story here is the mayor, the city manager, Shelley Dickstein, everybody who's important here in the city have all told me the exact same thing, that this project is going nowhere unless you get Bootsy Neal to sign off on the project. And I'm not necessarily opposed to working with Bootsy. In fact, I would enjoy that, but I think there's a huge attempt right now to keep me out of the sandbox. And
Have you got any other response from Wright Dunbar? I mean, other than Ms. Wright?
no, just the Jeff Jackson and the conversations we've been taking place or had taking place. He's also a member of my homeowners association, so we know each other from that as well. But it was a very disturbing thing to say, because that's what I've been running into a lot. It's people using personal relationships in order to influence city and county politics. And, it's immoral, it's unethical, and likely it's illegal. And, when you run across these type of things, it's your job to point them out as an American.
As far as your work with the Occupy movement, you guys, any group of people working on this project, or?
Yeah, we've got people from Occupy helping us. We've got a lot of other groups helping us. We're trying to articulate all this to the city and work with the city in order to make this plan happen. But quite frankly, they don't want to hear anything. They just want me to get the sign off of Bootsy Neal. So we're in limbo.
Is this the beginning of a local Dayton Occupy political party? When
Oh,
you guys are going to run candidates? Because, some of your complaints certainly aren't old. There's been other people complaining about the city being there in order to give opportunity to some and deny opportunity to others. And
I don't think they have that luxury.
Even admitted on tape to us that their economic development choices are subjective.
Oh, absolutely. And for a city that has, according to the mayor the other day, 12,000 abandoned vacant properties, and we know what the occupancy is like downtown, my guess is they ought to come up with something that's a little more creative than what they're doing. And there's a lot of us that have come forward that are saying, hey, let's change this community, and if they would just learn to leverage our resources, we could all work together, and they would be famous or electable, and we would get what we want done, and we could set a model for the rest of the country to follow, which is what we've been trying to do here.
Okay, so you guys are looking to really occupy Dayton.
Absolutely. We're looking at political offices of all types, school board, landmarks, every single position you can think about. And we're also looking at the recall. So, if our representatives don't speak for us, we have the process to recall them.
Anything else you'd like to say?
I think that will pretty much do it, just to educate yourself to what's going on. For anybody who's confused about what Occupy stands for, I encourage them to go see the official statement at the Occupy New York website. And I think that's it.
Thank you for your time.